Hi guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Wright. I'm a landscape photographer working out of Granada, Spain. Today I wanted to talk about filters, not the software filters that we're used to talking about on this channel, but hardware filters. I want to talk in particular about the Kase Revolution magnetic filters. Now, these have not been unpacked, so this is as much a surprise to me as it is to you. So, the contents of the package included, nice touch, some couple of cleaning wipes to clean the filters with, alcohol-free wipes, and a couple of step-up rings. What these are for is adjusting the filter to different sizes of lens. So these are a neat thing, definitely. Okay, let's have a look in the box. Now they really have got the sort of Apple packaging down to a T here. So we've got a large box, and then here we've got an accessories box, and we've got some bits and pieces down here. So we've got instructions of how to mount the ring filters. We've got instructions as how to install and use a circular polarizer. And we've got quite useful little labels that we can apply to the card slot in the packaging. So all useful stuff. Now let's have a look at the actual contents here. Okay, so in this box there is the case. And this is very nice, made of really nice tactile material, nothing cheap about this at all. There's a useful ring on the top to clip it to, or the base of the head of the tripod, just for convenience. Also a belt loop here, so I can thread this through my belt, and equally convenient. Magnetic clip, and within the box rather, we have got a holder for the labels, and in each section there is a filter inside of a protective paper holder. But let's have a look inside these. So this is the circular polarizer, and you'll notice possibly that there's a silver ring around the diameter of it. So I can put it into the holder and identify it by the silver ring. That's a really nice touch. This one is the ND8 filter. Blue ring around it. It's the most this is an ND64 filter with the gold ring around it. ND1000 filter. This is the equivalent probably of the Lee Big Stopper. It's almost completely opaque. Magnetic lens cap, and room for 3 more filters. Room for 2 more filters if I include the lens cap in there. So, very nice presentation. So, what are these glass filters actually for? Well, there's a few things that glass filters can bring to the table that software simply can't do, and that is primarily controlling time, and to the same extent, really, controlling reflection in the actual image. So let's start with the circular polarizer. So the circular polarizer is able to cut out glare and reflection. Typically, we'll find this in water. If you take a photograph of the sea with a point-and-shoot camera, you'll find it's covered with tiny little points of light, which effectively, to my mind, ruin the photograph. You don't want that reflected light in your image. Similarly with leaves and foliage, you use the circular polarizer to cut that reflected light out, and the side effect of this is to give you a much richer palette of colours to work with. Going back to water for a second, with a circular polarizer, you will find that you can actually see through the water to a much greater extent. So circular polarizer is very, very powerful. It will also slow the image down, so you'll need to increase the exposure slightly. So it's a dark filter and less light is coming into the sensor. So you'll need to adjust for that with the circular polarizer. Now, when we get onto neutral density filters, there's more at play. What we're doing with a neutral density filter is one of 2 things. The first effect of a neutral density filter is to reduce the amount of light coming into the sensor. And this in turn frees us up for more creative effects with aperture and with shutter speed. So say, for example, you've got a very, very bright day. You've got a picture of a horse running across a field, and you want the background to be out of focus. You want everything to be focused on that horse, and further to that, you want the horse to be slightly blurred. You want that impression of movement. Well, since it's a very bright day, your temptation is to close down the aperture, to let less light into the filter, but that's going to bring the background into focus. You could use shutter speed, increase the shutter speed to compensate for that, but then you're going to get into the territory of freezing the horse in motion, so you won't get the effect of speed. So a perfectly valid use of a low-value neutral density filter would be to effectively use the filter to reduce the amount of light coming into the sensor, and that in turn frees you up to use aperture and shutter speed to control the artistic effects on the photograph. So you can get a little bit of blur into the legs of the horse, you can knock the background out of focus. So that's good. The second use of the neutral density filter is actually to slow the picture down deliberately so that you get more blur. Now, this is most often seen with clouds moving across the sky and with water. Now, a low-value neutral density filter will slow your image down to an extent, and you need to experiment with this because this varies, as you move up the scale with the filters from 8 to 64 to 1000. You're looking at much less light coming in and therefore much longer exposures. So to get the right artistic effect, it requires a little bit of trial and error because so much depends on the ambient lighting when you're taking the photograph. So Typically, water moves a lot faster, so you'll get more of an effect, more of a noticeable effect from your ND8s, for example. ND64 will close it down much more, and ND1000 will give you that milky, completely smooth effect on water, and this requires typically exposure times of a minute or more. My process for using filters is to start with the circular polarizer. So I want to get the extra color, cut out the glare, get that sorted out, and get that balanced to a regular exposure before I start adding on or reducing the amount of light coming into the lens through using ND filters. And what I will typically do is start with the lowest one, see what that looks like, swap it out for the next highest one up, swap it out for the next highest one up until I get the effects that I want in the picture. Another option is to stack these filters, and with the Kase magnetic system it's childishly simple to stack them. You just literally clip one on top of another. So you've got a lot of flexibility within those filters to slow the picture down to exactly what you want. With cloudscapes, typically clouds move a lot slower than water, and typically you're going to start with a higher value ND filter. So if you have a moment, pop down below the video and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. We're covering a lot of material over all aspects of photography. It would be great to have you, and thanks very much for watching the video, guys. I hope this has been useful, and I hope we'll see you next week. Thanks very much indeed. Bye now.